a mostly accurate 5-minute saga of how we got here. Our story begins roughly 6 to 7 million years ago in a lush African forest where our distant ancestors, let's call them pre-humans with great upper body strength and absolutely no Wi-Fi, lived the high life, literally. They swung through trees, ate fruit straight from the source, and threw poop with astonishing accuracy. They were small, hairy, and had no idea what a job interview was. Truly the golden age. Enter one particular primate, a wide-eyed dreamer named Gary, the bipedal rebel. While the others were content swinging and screaming, Gary had a thought. A dangerous thought. What if we got down from this tree and walked? "Why would you do that?" asked his cousin Kevin. "There's dirt down there, and snakes, and 0 bananas." But Gary insisted. "I just feel like something important is down there. Maybe tools, maybe taxes." So, with a dramatic but clumsy descent, Gary stood upright, wobbled for a moment, and took a few wobbly steps. He looked around and shouted, "Behold, I walk now." The others were unimpressed. "Neat, let us know when you invent pizza." Fast forward a million years or so, Gary's descendants, now Australopithecus and later Homo habilis, have discovered 2 things. 1, walking is pretty great. 2, rocks are not just for throwing at Kevin anymore. These early humans began using stones as tools. They smashed things open, they chopped stuff, they bonked each other affectionately. It was the original iPhone, except heavier, dumber, and more likely to cause a mild concussion. Clothing? Still not a thing. Communication? Mostly grunts, pointing, and the occasional interpretive dance. And yet something was changing. They were learning, adapting, evolving. Also freezing, because they still hadn't figured out pants. Then came the Homo erectus gang, about 2 million years ago. These folks were taller, smarter, and finally starting to look like people you might see waiting in line at a coffee shop, only with slightly worse posture. Most importantly, they discovered fire. No one knows how the first fire was made. Lightning? Friction? A frustrated early human angrily rubbing 2 sticks together while muttering, "If this doesn't work, I'm going back to the tree." Who can say? But once they had fire, everything changed. Warmth at night, cooked food, scary shadow puppets to confuse hyenas, marshmallows, not yet invented but spiritually present. They began forming tribes, cooking meat, and telling stories around the fire. Probably dramatic tales like The Great Chase of the Giant Rodent or Kevin Ate the Wrong Berries Again. Language began to develop. Early words included oof, and Kevin no. Now we enter the juicy part. Around 300,000 years ago, 2 very exciting humanoids now roam the Earth. Neanderthals, strong, stocky, surprisingly artistic. Homo sapiens, smarter, faster, and destined to invent spreadsheets. The 2 species meet, they coexist for a while, they exchange awkward glances, they possibly date. Yes, your ex might literally be 2% Neanderthal. But in the end, Homo sapiens wins the survival game. Not because we were stronger, no, we were weird, wiry noodle people. But we were social, crafty, and invented sarcasm. Homo sapiens started spreading across the globe like someone sneezing glitter at a party, into Europe, Asia, eventually Australia, and the Americas. We painted caves, we tamed wolves, we invented early forms of music, probably someone banging 2 sticks together and calling it jazz. And finally, we figured out clothes. Sort of skip ahead to the last 10,000 years. A tiny blip in the timeline, but boy did we get weird. We domesticated plants and animals, we built villages, then cities, we made wheels, roads, empires, and inexplicably large pyramids with 0 explanation but maximum aesthetic. We invented writing, math, and eventually philosophy, which mostly involved rich men sitting around saying things like, "Do we really exist, or are we just dreams with good hair?" Then came the Industrial Revolution, where we replaced manual labor with steam, machines, and crushing existential dread. And finally, we reached the modern era. We invented the internet. We created social media. We started arguing about pineapple on pizza. We forgot how to sit properly without a chiropractor. And we willingly give AI the ability to make art, write essays, and insult us gently with Shakespearean flair. All of this because one brave monkey thought, you know what, I'm gonna walk. We sit here today, upright, mostly clothed, mostly confused, looking back on a journey of millions of years. We've gone from tree-hugging fuzzballs to complex, self-aware beings with taxes, existential dread, and Netflix queues we'll never finish. We build rockets now. We look at stars and wonder. We still slip on wet floors and scream like chimps when we stub our toe. But somehow, that's progress. So next time you overthink a text message or spend 2 hours choosing a movie you won't watch, remember the noble, wheezing ancestor who first stood up and whispered, "This is fine, I'll evolve." The end, or the beginning of whatever weird thing we're about to become next.